Welcome to English literature class, my dear students of class 11th. Now, please open the chapter number 4 from Reverie, The Gift of India by Sarojini Naidu. The Gift of India is a poem full of patriotism and related to World War I, which was fought between 1914 to 1918. So, and yesterday I taught you the summary and outlines of this poem. Today I am going to explain the stanzas. Here are four stanzas. You see, stanza number 1 will be from Is there aught you till sabers of doom. So please start to comprehend the poem. Here, line number 1, is there aught? Ought means anything. Is there aught you need that my hands withhold? Withhold, to hold back. And here, raiment, cloths. Flung, sent. And here, priceless means who are here? You brave soldiers. Yielded means provided. Yielded means provided. These were the meanings. Here, is there aught you need that my hands withhold? Rich gifts of raiment or gain, rain or gold. Lo, I have flung to the east and the west. Lo, exclamatory sign here, used to call attention. I have flung to the east and the west priceless treasures torn from my breast and yielded the sons of my stricken womb to the drum beats of the duty, the sabers of doom. The speaker is Mother India. The speaker, Mother India, addresses the erstwhile Britishers. Formerly, erstwhile means formerly in the past. Britishers addresses the Britishers who ruled India. Mother India addresses to the Britishers who rule over India. The Britishers snatched away. The Britishers snatched away rich gifts of raiment or grain or gold. The Britishers snatched away many precious things from Mother India. Her precious cloths, grains and gold. But Mother India says, but the most precious gift, lo, I have flung to the east and the west priceless treasures torn from my breast. But the most precious gift that they snatched away were the priceless lives of Indian soldiers who fought for their masters in distant foreign lands in the east and the west. Torn from my breast, snatched from Mother India. Priceless lives of Indian soldiers who fought for their master in distant foreign lands in the east and the west. These soldiers listened and yielded the sons of Maistak and Mum to the drum beats of the duty, the sabers of doom. The soldiers listened to the call of their duty when the drums of war were beaten. They fought bloody wars with their weapons, even without knowing for what cause they were fighting. Even thinking, even knowing for what cause they were fighting. The sabers of doom, destruction weapons of war. Gathered, stanza number 2, gathered like pearls in their alien graves, graves in foreign lands. Silent, they sleep by the Persian waves. The Persian waves, the sea beaches of Persia, now Iran, scattered like shells on Egyptian sands. The deserts of Egypt, they lie with pale brows and brave broken hands. They are strewn like blossoms, mown down by chance on the blood brown meadows of Flanders and France. The poet here offers brilliant images by similes as are similes. The poet here offers brilliant images by similes to commemorate the sacrifices made by Indian soldiers during the World War I. The soldiers who were as valuable as pearls were killed and buried in graves by the shores of Persia, now Iran. The soldiers who laid down their lives in Egypt were found scattered on sands as shells are found scattered on sands. They lay dead, their death being signified by pale brows and their bravery by broken hands. In another beautiful image, the poet compares the dead soldiers to flowers that are cut down without any plan and that remain scattered and uncared for. This is what happened to the Indian soldiers whose dead bodies were left unattended on the grassy fields in Flanders, Belgium, and France. The blood of soldiers colored the fields red. Question the third. Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep? Motherland says. Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep, or comprehend the sorrow of the watch I keep, or the pride that thrills, pierce through my heart's despair, hopelessness, and the hope that comfort that anguish of prayer, mental pain, anguish, and the far distant, sad, glorious vision I see of the torn red banners of victory. Here, the poet says, here the speaker, Mother India, asks the Britishers if they could ever measure the tears of her grief and know the extent of her woes, her sorrows at the deaths of her brave sons. She asks if they could ever know the extent of her pride over their bravery. The pride that makes her forget her despair. The pride that makes her forget her despair. She again asked if they could know the hope in her heart that comforts that anguish, mental pain of her prayer. In fact, she has a mix of feeling. Her feelings have been mingled. She has a mix of feelings when she thinks of the sacrifices of her great heroes. She has a sad vision of the bloody flag wavering, proclaiming victory. The soldiers died, but they won a decisive victory for their masters. In the last stanza, Mother India says, when the terror and the tumult of hate shall cease and life be refashioned on anvil of peace, and your love shall offer memories thanks to the comrades who fought on the dauntless ranks, and you honor the deeds of the dauntless ones, dauntless, courageous, dauntless ones. Remember the blood. Blood means the sacrifices of my martyred sons. When the terror and the tumult, violent commotion, tumult, an anvil means here a strong foundation. Here, here the speaker concludes on a note of hope that a day is not far when the violent commotion of hate, that is war, would come to an end. Life would be peaceful and normal again. The speaker is hopeful that the bravery of Indian soldiers would be remembered with gratitude. The brave acts of the dead Indian soldiers would be acknowledged and honored. The coming generations remember those who laid down their lives in alien lands. The coming generation would remember those those brave soldiers who laid down their lives in alien lands. Here, the poet wants to say that war is basically painful and destructive. It snatches precious sons from their mothers. So, it is an anti-war poem written by Sarojini Naidu. The poem is completed. Students, if you have any problem, please ask me. Thank you so much.